Coming up tonight, the Prime Minister addresses the nation as a 5-day lockdown draws to a close. The Tourism Minister predicts a long recovery ahead for the nation's leading industry. And high school seniors remain optimistic despite the pandemic.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis is urging doctors in private practice to join the fight against COVID-19. Minnis made the announcement during an address to the nation this afternoon, where he also announced that the food shopping schedule will not be enforced this week and that essential workers will be allowed to shop on Saturdays during lockdown.
An alphabetical shopping schedule will come back into effect on Monday, the 20th of April. Grocery stores will open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. The time from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., Monday to Friday, will be reserved for seniors and persons with disability. Effective immediately. During the weekend lockdowns, grocery stores will be allowed to operate on Saturdays from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. for essential workers only. The schedule for essential workers is as follows. On Saturdays, from 6 a.m. to 12 noon, health professionals, police and defense force officers, employees of clearing banks, and employees of wholesale distributors will be allowed to shop. From 12 noon to 6 p.m., remaining essential workers, as identified in the emergency orders lockdown order, will have access to food stores. That includes essential workers of core utilities such as water, electricity and communications, the media, security company workers, Department of Correctional Facilities, Customs, Immigration, Social Services, Environmental Health Services, Waste Disposal and Sanitation Workers, Fire Services, and NIB.
Minnis also announced that there will be increased COVID-19 testing, which he says will result in more confirmed cases. He urges fellow doctors to join the fight against COVID-19, recalling the AIDS epidemic of the late 80s and early 90s. He also expressed his willingness to join the ranks of medical professionals fighting the virus.
We in the health profession, recognizing our oath, we were not afraid. We cared for the patients, but we took the necessary precautions. We protected ourselves and at the same time managed our patients. I was with you then, and if necessary, if I am needed, I will be with you again. After all, like you, I took the Hippocratic Oath.
The Ministry of Health confirming 2 additional cases of COVID-19. That brings the total number of confirmed cases to 49. The newly confirmed cases are a 40-year-old female of New Providence with no travel history. She remains in isolation at home. Case number 49 is a 50-year-old male of New Providence with no history of travel. This case has been hospitalized. Health officials continue to follow the condition of the other current COVID-19 positive cases. Investigations are ongoing. Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar says it could take up to a year for the tourism industry to bounce back from the effects of the coronavirus, adding that tourism stakeholders are preparing for visitors' eventual return. Berthany McDermott has that.
Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar says stakeholders are already planning for the return of the once booming industry once the world emerges from the global coronavirus pandemic. However, he admits that the industry must first wait for situations to improve in the United States, as some 82% of visitors come from that country.
You don't have to be a genius to look at the news every night to see that they're in a state of flux. Nobody going anywhere. All of our major markets, Florida, New York, are locked down. So we have to wait for them to get through their surge, to get on the other side of this, in order for us to respectfully and tastefully begin to remarket our destination.
The United States is currently experiencing a surge in COVID-19 cases. Healthcare facilities in major U.S. cities like New York are now being overwhelmed with COVID-19 cases. This has resulted in some 45 mobile morgues having to be set up in that state. When asked how long it will take for the tourism sector to rebound, Diaghilev said it will take at least a year.
We are going to have to see when the American economy, or when these areas from which most of our foreign visitors hail from, get over the COVID-19. The United States economy is going to contract by 26.5%. GDP is going to contract by 26.5% in the second quarter. And so people are going to be in a hunker down and let's ride through this storm. I'm not really thinking about a vacation because I don't have the disposable income to do that.
Still, Diaghilev maintains that the Bahamas is best suited for a rebound.
We feel, however, that if there's a country best suited for a rebound in the tourism sector, it's going to be the Bahamas. We're close. You can go on a short cruise. I know most people are going to want to go on short cruises and not on long cruises. We have a diversity of product. We have the private islands and we have Nassau and Freeport as our city products. The only thing that we have to do is to assure, first and foremost, the Bahamian people that when these people are coming off the boats into our country, they're not infecting us. And then we have to assure the traveling public, the visitors, that they're not being infected by our people.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthan McDermott.
With COVID-19 cases continuing to climb, the BNU said statements by health officials on the situation must be carefully worded, as some announcements can cause people to panic. Jillian Gray tells us more.
The Bahamas Nurses Union is calling on the government to be more careful when communicating, as some information they say can cause the public to panic.
When you tell the people the hot spot is Elizabeth Estate, or the hot spot is Fox Hill or East, then what you're going to do is get all the people from Fox Hill run to the east, and you make the work nurse harder because she now can't keep a grip on where you is. You living with Annie, you're living with brother, you're living with this one out east, out west, because you're trying to get away from out east. You don't say that. We have to be very careful on how we address the public.
While the Prime Minister has called for the public to stop panic buying, there have continued to be long lines at grocery stores. Williams said those lines are concerning, but it's the health professionals that must properly advise the government, as some announcements can trigger certain behaviors.
When you keep switching up the methods of what you're using, the individual becomes confused. So when you ask for them to stay this week, 4 days, they could adjust to that. Then you come back and you say another 6 days, they can't adjust to that. So your recommendation should be coming from your sociologist, your epidemiologist should be consulting you, and your psychologist should be consulting you. Because we know that with Doreen, what happened? Everybody lined right up to the occupier. We know that. So at the end of the day, be advised of your community, the culture of your community, the way your community thinks. That is very important.
Williams also encouraged people to stay indoors and not give in to fear and anxiety during this pandemic.
Thank you to the public for obeying. And for those who are not obeying, please, we don't want you to end up in that hospital. We want you to take preventative measures, listen to what your nurse is saying, listen to the public announcements, follow the correct procedure. And when we talk about the food, a lot of people have food in their fridge to last them more than 2 weeks, but it's anxiety.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
The Minister of Health responded to concerns surrounding the safety of COVID-19 test kits coming in from China. According to Dr. Dwayne Sands, many have expressed the opinion that his ministry should test the kits.
These things are contaminated. We look, review the data, and we convince ourselves whether or not there is a clear and present danger to Bahamians and to the Bahamas.
While Sands sought to calm fears, he also urged residents not to believe everything they see on the internet.
I think we have to be very mindful of the geopolitics that's playing out. Certainly, we have a wonderful relationship with the People's Republic of China, the United States of America, the government of Cuba, and Canada, and the United Kingdom, and so on and so forth. We maintain our relationships with all of those countries bilaterally, and we're not minded to get into those fights. We will pay attention to ensure that the safety of Bahamians is maintained and secured. But in terms of the tit for tat, we're not minded to get involved in it.
Still to come on Our News, the Primary School Student of the Year Awards ceremony postponed. Plus, high school seniors say despite it all, they're optimistic about the future.
A big thank you to Cable Care Foundation. They basically was the first organization that gave us any form of funding.
We use the funding that they give to us to have a better avenue to helping the kids.
This organization is primarily for youth development. At least 65% of our grants must be designated for youth development.
I got our first set of drums through Cable Cares.
To date, we have almost 15 of those drummers off on music scholarship. Kids are getting the exposure internationally. They have performed at the Battle of the Bands at Howard University where they got first place. They performed at the Macy's Parade, chosen over 170 bands plus.
Cable Bahamas Cares Foundation came as a result of a discussion on how good a corporate citizen Cable Bahamas could be.
And they also assisted a lot of other programs, and I really thank them and appreciate what they are doing for the youth in the nation.
And we do not take it for granted.
$111 primary school students will have to wait a little while longer to see who will be named this year's Primary School Student of the Year. The coveted awards weekend that was scheduled for May 23rd has been postponed due to the coronavirus pandemic. However, Foundation Chairman Van Dyke Pratt assured that judging has already been done and this year's event will still happen.
We are in this environment being very fluid. We do not have an exact date for the program as yet, but we are constantly working towards that. Within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will have something more concrete as to the exact date. But in the interim, we are assiduously working to make this program a reality this year. We've received all of the portfolios in from the young people. In fact, the judging has already been completed. And we are in the process, we've already updated our website. So all 111 nominees are on our website presently.
Over $60,000 in cash and scholarships are up for grabs for this year's event. The event gathers the top performing 6th grade student from each primary school and takes a look at all of their achievements. It's an event many look forward to, and Pratt says even if it has to take on a virtual format, the awards program will happen.
Later on, after we have decided on an actual date, we will also engage the young people in a Zoom call just to keep them interactive and to let them know that we are there for them. And so we are doing all these things to enhance the program, and we are wanting it to be a traditional program as normal. But if not, if it has to be some form of multimedia or virtual program, we are going to explore all of these opportunities to make this a reality, to recognize these very special, hardworking, and high-achieving young people in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
The Ministry of Education recently confirmed that it had postponed national examinations due to the uncertainty brought on by the coronavirus. Despite that, some high school seniors say they remain optimistic about the future. Trent Thompson is a 17-year-old senior at St. Augustine's College. As he looked to cap off his high school career, Thompson and thousands of other high school seniors were thrown a curveball when schools were abruptly shut and the nation placed on curfew, then lockdown.
We probably might not have a graduation at this point. It was a bit upsetting, but now I have understood that this is a real problem, and it's not just us, it's worldwide. And the things that we are going through, everyone's going through, so it's only a matter of time. We have to wait and see what's going to happen.
Bahamian high school seniors aren't alone. Concerns over the virus have led to global shutdown measures to slow its spread. As he ponders his future, Thompson knows he is living through an historic event.
this is definitely a story to tell to my kids and grandkids when in years to come. But I think that it's a testament to the Bahamian resiliency and the resiliency of the human race on the whole, that we are able to come together to fight a greater evil that has befallen us.
Another soon-to-be graduate, 18-year-old Daniela McCrae, is college-bound in the fall with multiple acceptance letters in her mailbox. But the Queen's College head girl hasn't seen her classmates in nearly a month and doesn't know when she will see them again. Despite that, the lifelong QC student is keeping a positive outlook.
I feel like the only thing we can do is stay hopeful. I've been speaking to a lot of people, and I can speak from personal experience. Some weeks have been harder than others, especially when you're digesting everything that's happening worldwide. But I mean, everyone's just trying to stay as optimistic as possible, and we're rooting each other on and just hoping for the best for graduation.
The soon-to-be theater major is well aware of the uncertainty surrounding the pandemic, especially as she prepares to move away from home.
I keep speaking with my friends about this. We have to take this one day at a time. I personally believe we can be in a safe place by the time, college enrollment starts and school starts getting back to normal. But we just have to leave it up to God at this point. We don't know what's going to happen in the next week or so might as well not think about it so much and stress yourself over things you have no control over.
Over at CV Bethel, head girl Shabria Davis also says her classmates will likely miss the chance to spend their last days of high school together. However, the Streamline University of the Bahamas student, who sat 6 BGCSEs in grade 11, says the sudden shift to online learning is great preparation for the future.
It gets you prepared for when things may happen at the university, or when you decide to do online classes, you're actually getting a complete feel of what university is like. You're not necessarily right next to your teacher. Your teacher's on the whole other side of the world possibly, and you're just sitting there getting information. It also teaches discipline at home, because most times as high school students, we feel as if home is a comfort place for us. We chill out and don't really do much work. But now that we're home, we have to now train our bodies that home is now a working place for us.
Davis was upbeat as she addressed all of her fellow graduates.
Do not get discouraged. We are a strong class, and God knows best. He allowed us to go through this because He knows the other classes may have not been able to take it. Continue working hard. Don't lose the hope. For this too shall pass, and we will conquer what is going on right now in the world.
An MP offers assistance to residents. We have the details when our news returns.
Cable Bahamas wireless broadband service is great for schools or any business with a mobile workforce. Keep in touch with your office, employees, and vendors, even when required to work remotely. Teachers and students can stay connected while enjoying the convenience and flexibility of e-studies without interruption. Cable Bahamas makes it easy and affordable with wireless broadband packages to fit your every need. For more information, email businesssolutions@cablebahamas.com or call 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands.
Freetown Member of Parliament Dionisio de Aguilar says he is working to assist members of his constituency through the hardship brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. De Aguilar explained the 3 ways he is working to help the less fortunate.
There are really 3 ways that you can assist people in your constituency. The first thing that we've done is we've given substantial donations to the feeding networks in our area. So, for example, the Salvation Army, they were running low on funds. I've made a substantial donation to them to ensure that they can feed people in need. Then we're looking at gift vouchers for constituents, and then you obviously put together a gift bag for constituents.
De Aguilar pointed out that as the tourism industry has been shut down, there are now a number of people in need of assistance. He said the goal is to ensure that those most in need are assisted. However, he said funds may not allow for a consistent assistance program.
It is quite difficult on your funds available to maintain a substantial and consistent assistance program. You give $50 to 200 people, that's 10 grand. So It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that your burn rate is going to be quite substantial, given the fact that you have 9,000 constituents.
Marcela Hall has a quick chat with our golden girl that's coming up when our news returns.
I'm Coralie Adley. I'm the Managing Director for the Kidney Center. So the Kidney Center is the provider of hemodialysis treatment. So before the push to talk, we found one particular center, we had challenges with phones being damaged frequently. And so what was appealing for us with the push to talk is how sturdy it is. It almost looks like a mountain device, one of those rugged things. And then the persons using it in the field like the feature that it's more of a walkie-talkie, more than a cell phone. And then finally, we like the idea that we can know where persons are. And not in a way of wanting to track them, but sometimes it's a matter of we may have two vehicles out, who is closest to a particular point to be able to do something and how to deploy them. So that's been a really good feature for us.
Olympic and World Championship medalist Shani Miller not able to defend her title until 2021, but the star athlete still finding ways to stay on her game. Marcela Hall has that.
Well, happy Easter, everybody. As you know, most athletes right now trying to figure out how best to keep their sharpness, if you will, in terms of staying in shape. Shani Miller no different. The Olympic hopeful, who is now getting ready for 2021, spoke with us a little while ago about what her plans are moving forward.
At the beginning, a lot of the athletes, including myself, we were a little confused as to what was going to happen with the games. Obviously, the decision they made was the right decision to push it back to 2021. What's going on right now in this world around us is way bigger than sports. And so I think that was the right thing to do. But of course, it was a little disappointing, being that we've been training so hard for an event like the Olympics to take place. But like I said, everything is a lot bigger than us, and so we all decided that was the right choice to push it back to next year, and we'll just be able to prepare for a better season next year.
I assume you've been keeping an eye on the situation here at home. How difficult has that been, knowing your parents are here and you're there? How difficult has that been for you?
Yeah, my whole family is there. It's quite difficult. I'm just hoping that everyone's following the protocol. I think that's the safest thing to do. Everyone is to stay home and try and do as much as you can from home. I think that would resolve the problem a whole lot quicker. And once that can take place, we're hoping for a better situation. But yeah, I've been seeing the news, and it hurts just to see it, and my people's going through it as well. And so I'm just praying for them and hoping for the best.
Yeah. Training wise, how are you trying to cope with this as best possible? Try to keep yourself in the best shape I guess you can.
Man, I think that's the tough part with it. We were promised pretty much that we were going to try and have a season at the end of the year if all things clear up, and so a lot of the athletes are still trying to stay in some sort of decent shape. Obviously not the best shape, being that we don't have a lot of access to certain facilities, but we're trying right now. We're just running around fields, just trying to stay in as much shape as we can, trying to do as much as we can from home. My husband and I just did a home gym, and so we're we're trying to get in as much lifting and stuff that we can from here. And the main thing for right now is, like I said, to follow the protocols and try and stay indoors to stop the spread. And I guess we'll see what happens from there. Just stay safe, stay healthy, and I'm praying for you all.
Okay, so we keep checking on our athletes as the week goes by. In the meanwhile, I'm Marcela Hall for our news. The weather is next.
Thank you for joining us for our news tonight. To catch our news on the go, download the Rev Go Play app. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Jared Higgs. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night.